Greets to all the lamers. All this and more coming up on This Week in Retro.
High-resolution color graphics.
This land of high technology.
The revolution in technology that made the information age possible.
Those kids are not afraid of computers.
Bitmap Brothers Revisited.
Demos seen.
A Facebook of adventure.
All this and more coming up on this week's show. Up-to-date news for out-of-date tech. Hello, Dave. Greets to you, Dave.
Greets to you, Neil. You are the king of lamers.
Thank you. We are, of course, talking demo scene later.
Not very well, we won't be.
No, we won't be. I've had a good week, though. I was talking to you just before the show about the 4 weeks or the month since I've returned. And it's been nice to do 4 video releases in 4 weeks. So that feels very productive. And it's thanks to a lot of what I was talking about last week with the coming together of the collective, which I've now announced to the patrons. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about it, well, here and on the Cave channel a bit more publicly in the coming months. But just to recap again, me, Richard, Holly, Dan, and other people who are occasionally helping, but primarily the 4 of us, are coming together under that Retro Collective banner to make videos together rather than on individual outlets. And to give you an example of what's going on today, aside from recording this, I'm editing up a talk that happened at the weekend. Holly's fixing and recording the fixing of a CRT. Richard's working on flashing Hoffman's EEPROMs for the Arcadia system. So we are all working together to make content all at once. Everything, everywhere, all of the time, Dave, so that I can have lots and lots of videos. Here's a USB hard drive I'm holding up, full of arcade restorations that Richard's been working on. So we can just pull it all together with me presenting and editing.
So it'll all funnel through you.
All funnel through me. We will have
like a human centipede
of content. Yes, a human centipede of content, all coming out on my channel. Thank you for ruining what was supposed to be a beautiful picture I was painting there, Dave, with your imagery.
You're welcome.
What have you been doing this week?
I've not been doing very much. I'm about to do some stuff. I've been buying stuff. I've got a nice Noctua fan, and I've put my Revision 6 060 on my Terrible Fire, and later on today a heatsink's coming and I'll be using thermal glue. I'll be getting it all stuck together, sticking it in my Amiga, and also putting the Solas in as well, and trying to put the Base MX inside rather than outside. So I'm going to hopefully finish off my Amiga.
Nice. Can you just hold that fan up to the microphone so the listeners can hear how quiet your Noctua fan is?
Can't hear anything, can you? Can't hear a single thing.
Can't hear a thing. So quiet.
Yeah. That's what we're doing today. And I've also, my Amstrad CPC doesn't work.
Oh, what's happened? Because I've had problems with this.
It's the disk drive belt. It needs changed, I think.
Okay.
I hope it's the disk drive belt.
I've been using a disk drive emulator that plugs into the external disk drive port of a 6128. And it's been working for years, and suddenly it will read the disk, but if you try and run anything off the disk, the virtual disk, so it's not drive belt related, then it won't run. So a bit of a head scratcher, that one. But it seems to be the disk drive emulator rather than the CPC itself, because we all know CPCs are indestructible.
Have you tried cleaning the edge connector? Because that's where things do sometimes go wrong.
We did try it on another CPC, so we've eliminated the machine itself. Yeah. So we'll figure that out. But all in all, a good week. Busy in the cave, busy in the arcade. Lots of good stuff happening. So have you ordered a new drive belt?
I have some already, because I had another CPC. No, it's a plus 3 and you change the drive belt on that I haven't got around to. So I've got the drive belts here. I grudged the price of them though. They're like £4 a drive belt. Shouldn't be £4 a drive belt.
It's an elastic band of a specific size.
I know. And it's square and it's black and it's exactly the right size. And I don't know if the elasticity is different. I don't know.
If you went to the effort of trying to research it and find the exact one, you would have spent more than £4 of your own time trying to source it.
Well, I mean, why would I go through more than, I don't know, 5 in my lifetime? So there, yeah. The Bitmap brothers are often said to be rock star game developers, and they weren't, but they tried to look that way, posing with posing with a helicopter they didn't use. But that was the image they tried to curate in order to give themselves and their games a cachet. They weren't the first to do this. For example, in the USA, Electronic Arts tried to do it with their game box design. They tried to do the same thing a little bit earlier. This is, for example, Starflight. This is an EA flat. It was the name of the box with a thin spine round it.
Did we get the flats over here? Because I associate them with American releases or Canadian releases.
We didn't. No. So these were kind of like vinyl records, so that's the thinking behind it. But they always had, or at least as far as I know, they always had the developers inside, like you would see the band that made the record. And it was part of what EA were trying to do more than just the game itself.
Or in the case of Chuck Yeager's Air Combat, it was one of those flat ones, but you've got the pilot on the inside. You know, I'm assuming Chuck Yeager didn't code Chuck Yeager's Air Combat. But then further along, you then started to get the names of the developers on the fronts, didn't you? Like Sid Meier's.
Yeah. The idea behind it was that you'd want to buy a Bitmap Brothers game because it was a Bitmap Brothers game. And it was successful. But of course, another reason for them being famous is that their games were, for the most part, great. They were graphical and audio feasts, and their bombastic style hooked you long enough to get you into a game. It's a couple of years since we've mentioned them on here, the seemingly now divisive Xenon 2. Back in the time, everybody loved Xenon 2, but now people don't feel it has great gameplay, and I don't know, I like it. I think you liked it as well, but I kind of get it without the context and nostalgia. Maybe you think this is rubbish. I don't know. At the time, it was amazing.
Bitmap Brothers, they weren't even brothers, were they? They weren't even brothers.
No.
I blame Robert Maxwell.
They weren't even bitmaps.
They weren't even bitmaps, yeah. Xenon 2. Xenon 2 was fun. Yeah. Do you say divisive because of our friend Rose Tinted Spectrum?
Yes. But lots of people agree with them. Lots of people say Xenon 2 is rubbish.
Yeah. It depends what spectacles you have on that day.
Yeah.
Kelly X apparently was the working title of the original Xenon. So, of course, before Xenon 2, you had Xenon in 1988, which was their first release. Although I think they had games released under ImageWorks and various other...
Yeah, they weren't new to the industry. Xenon was the first game, and funnily enough, you've been playing that recently as the Amiga port of Xenon got a port to the Arcadia system. Yeah. Is that the best game on the Arcadia system?
Oh, arguably... Until now.
Yes.
Because
I am setting up deliberately there, yeah.
Because, of course, we've got Hoffman. We asked in passing Hoffman if he'd be interested in porting Seekernoid over to the Arcadia system. 3 days later, I don't think the man even slept. He delivered us the ROMs to flash and use on Arcadia, complete with modifications to the game with things like insert coin to play, the icon to appear on the Arcadia menu on the arcade itself. He's just absolutely nailed it. To the point where he actually caught me off guard, and I'm 2 EPROMs short of flashing it. I can try it in an emulator, but I'm just waiting for 2 more EPROMs to arrive in the post so I can flash it and test it, and then we'll show it in part 3 of that series. So looking forward to that. Back to Xenon. Yes, I have tried it in emulation on the Arcadia because we don't have the card for that one. But anyone can try that version of it in MAME or WinUAE. I am more a fan of Xenon 2 than Xenon 1 because I don't get on with the switching between the spaceship and the tank mechanic. I don't get on with that at all.
Yeah, accidentally happening all the time.
Well, on Arcadia, you've got a second button to do it with.
Oh, so that's the best way to play it then, maybe.
So it just feels a bit clunky, though. I switch at the wrong time. I've never been good at shoot-'em-ups. Never been good at them. How about you? I
was all right at Xenon 2. I must have practiced it lots and lots and lots. I think that's what you need. You need to practice it. And I mean, R-Type is maybe the most famous shooter in the arcade, maybe. And it's a memory game.
Yeah. Well,
the right weapon for the right time and exactly the right position on the screen, and
you're talking horizontal shooter versus vertical shooter, Dave. 2 completely different genres.
Oh yeah, totally different. Like text adventure and interactive fiction, totally different.
It is a memory game, though. They are memory games, yeah, for sure.
Sandwiched between Xenon and Xenon 2 is the subject of today's story. Thanks to Pajako for submitting the time extension article Of course, it is Speedball. That's why I wore a Speedball t-shirt. Speedball is a great game, but I think most people prefer the sequel. I know I do. Speedball 2, I love a game of Speedball 2. It's not just the gameplay, but the management element and the tactical element. Although I do typically play the same way, beat the other team into submission. It's one of the most fun parts of the game.
Yeah.
Grab a few quick goals and then run around collecting coins while repeatedly beating the other team until you start to score points by injuring them.
And then upgrade your players so that you can more easily beat them and just knock them over after every game. Yeah, I liken Speedball and Speedball 2 to Kickoff. Speedball is a great game. Speedball 2 just perfects it. Same with Kickoff and Kickoff.
Definitely, Speedball is a work in progress along to the final thing. There's games that came out that didn't need a sequel. There was nothing else to do. Like Worms, for example, or Lemmings, for example, both got it right first time. Speedball was a great game, but Speedball 2 was when they finished it. The gameplay isn't complicated in Speedball, but the difficulty is just right. And you can take your team, it's called Brutal Deluxe, from the bottom of the Division 2 to winning the first division, signing star players or not, upgrading your players in whichever stats you choose. It's also great fun two-player as well. I should point out that the article headline did annoy me. Speedball 2 is called an Amiga game. I mean, yeah, it came out on the Amiga, but it came out on the Atari ST first. I do object to when the Atari ST is erased from history that way. It might seem nitpicking, I just don't like it. Speedball 2, though, was a very successful game, and they have tried to relaunch it and capture that again several times. Speedball 2010 was released 100 years early, at the year 2000. It's a 3D PlayStation game, and it wasn't well received.
Hang on a minute, Dave. I think you mean Speedball 2100, not Speedball 2010. Otherwise, that would be 10 years early.
Oh, yeah. Speedball 2100. Thank you very much. A good thing you're here, Neil. 2100, 100 years early in 2000, and was a 3D PlayStation game, not well received. Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe was for the Xbox in 2007, not well received and eventually delisted. Speedball 2 Tournament, again in 2007, not well received and eventually delisted from Steam. Speedball 2 Evolution for iOS in 2011, which was a fairly faithful recreation of the ST game, but with pay-to-win mechanics, so it can get in the bin. Finally, Speedball 2 HD in 2013, which is faithfully recreated in the same style as the game, and a fairly good game with mostly positive reviews on Steam. John Hare from Sensei fame was involved in this one. Although the graphics are weirdly basic, and the original, I think, looks much better than this. But it is carried by the gameplay, which is where it matters. Doing a remaster of Speedball, or a remake, is no easy task, and several people have tried in the past and failed. But now Rebellion are trying. Now, this is Rebellion, a rather successful British studio who've been around since the early 90s. So they have the pedigree and they have the clout to give it a good go. The game is actually available on Steam now, early access, but there's a video on there, the gameplay. You've seen the demo footage, and Neil, we're talking about it, and you read about it on Steam. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first of all, you're right, Dave. Speedball was a great game. Speedball 2 improved on it when it was released on the ST, and you're right, came out on the ST first. And and then it was perfected on the Amiga.
What was that perfection? It was ice cream. Ice cream. You don't get the ice cream on the ST. It was added for the Amiga. Someone shouting for ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, the ST version was retro in itself in that it sounded like an Amstrad CPC.
Have you heard the music for the original Speedball on the Amiga?
The first Speedball?
Yeah, the first Speedball, the music on the ST is brilliant. It's lovely chiptune music. And the Amiga conversion, the music on that is glockenspiel. It's like someone on the xylophone. It's awful.
Yeah, I've just brought it up and reminded myself, and I do know the tune. It makes up for it in Speedball 2, but then I think the ST has the same music on the intro, doesn't it, of Speedball 2?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you do get the ST can do mod music, but it uses the CPU for it, so you can't play a game while it's happening.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Great on both versions.
Yes.
Both versions. We are in the era of esports, Dave.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw just this weekend, it was the League of Legends 2024 World Finals hosted in London. It peaked with 6.94 million live viewers.
More than
Almost
us.
as many as our podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The venue was the O2 Arena. So, pretty huge. And there was I don't know why it was in US dollars, but a $2.25 million US prize pool. $450,000 went to the winning team, and the team was called T1. And within that team was a chap called Faker, who won the MVP trophy for the tournament. I don't know how much he got paid for that, but $450,000 for that winning team of, I think, 4 or 5 people in a team. So, one video game, that's their deposits sorted for their houses.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice. An esports tournament when Speedball 2 came out. Now, that was what had happened when you bought the dining room chair up to your bedroom for your mate. That was it. Let's esports. We've bought big chair up from downstairs. No, not big chair. That's in the lounge. We've bought up big dining room chair, the heavy mahogany chair that's around the dining room table, lugged it up the stairs, scuffed the wallpaper on the edge of the stairs a few times on the way up. And then you got to make sure you get it back down for dinner time. That is esports. The new Speedball, it's everything that you'd expect looking at the trailer. It's got the nostalgic nods to the original. It's got familiar sounds like the metallic sounds of the balls, sound effects, the crunches as the players hit each other, the noise it makes when the ball goes into the goal. There's sort of like that horn noise. And it's a 2024 game. That's it. So it's very highly polished. It's got motion capture and all the rest of it, like a modern game should. Now, I've only seen the trailers, and I think there's 2 ways of approaching it. You could, if you're hoping to play the wonderful pixelated original, then play the original. You're not going to top that. You're not going to surpass 35 years of nostalgia in your own head with something different to the thing that made you nostalgic. If you can fathom that the 2 games can coexist, the new and old, and one doesn't in any way negate the existence of the old one, then give it a go and you can't lose. And I think if you go into it with positivity, you can try and enjoy it. And if anyone can do it, it's Rebellion. Although I am concerned by the list you reeled off of those who have tried and failed before. I think I don't
even think they've necessarily failed to make a good game, but they've failed to make a game that has caught fire in people's imaginations and really caught on.
Yeah.
Speedball 2, if we look at the games industry in the UK, Speedball 2 was possibly the biggest game of its around at the time, and certainly these ones that have come out since are not.
Yeah. Did you see the 2007 Xbox One? I think it had an original graphics mode, and then you could switch to a HD graphics mode. Yeah. So that was giving anyone who was nostalgic for Speedball 2 everything that they wanted. Here you go. Here's the original version on your modern console. And by the way, here's a layer of HD on top if you want.
They did that when they did the remake of Gods, which I don't think really added anything to it, but you had the option of going back to original Gods graphics or to modern graphics, which I didn't like.
No, or you could have original pixelated graphics, or you could have Macromedia Flash graphics. In the case of Gods, it was a strange graphical style. I wasn't a fan of it. No. But then I always found Gods a little bit clunky in its style anyway. But
it was almost turn-based. Gods, so you would have to decide what you wanted to do before it happened.
Do you remember QWOP, where you had a QWOP and you had the athlete? You could do that with Gods, couldn't you, with this style of the original graphics? Try and QWOP Gods running through the dungeons. That would make it more fun.
Going back to Speedball, though, I saw the demo, and the first thing I thought of was, I don't like this. I don't like it, because you have the esports emotes going on, and you have all that kind of stuff. It looks like Fortnite. But then I thought, what else are they going to do? If they are going to turn this into an esports game that's fun, that's what they have to do. So good luck to them. It will stand or fall on the gameplay. The gameplay is what really matters here. So I hope it comes out. It's on early access now, though. So I generally avoid early access games because I think it's a good way to ruin a game for yourself. I want to play it when it's complete. But that's not to say other people don't like playing at early access games. So if you do play it, please let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you actually think about it from people who played the original.
Yeah, and remember, this has to appeal to people who haven't played the original. This has to be a successful game in its own right. Nobody in their right mind is going to launch a AAA title on Steam to appeal to only the retro community.
Yeah.
With the amount of expense and input that someone like Rebellion would put into it. Different if it's an indie project, but this has to appeal to a new audience. So it'd be nice to know we'll just read the reviews as it comes out, check the reviews from those who have and those who haven't played the original, and also let us know on our subreddit.
Yeah. We are sponsored this week, thank you very much, by PCBWay. PCBWay are a PCB fabrication company who do much more than PCBs. They will do CNC milling. They will... Do they have anything to do with donkeys, Neil? Nothing to do with donkeys.
You carry on talking. I'll check their shared projects for anything with the word donkey in.
Yeah. Donkeys from Lee. More fun making it. Well, that's what we're talking about there. But PCBWay make a whole number of things. I was looking at one of their projects. I was looking at a sound card for the Atari ST, Neil. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
A sound card for the Atari ST? What's it got on it? Pooler?
It's got... It's not even very advanced. It was done by Bat. Remember the game Bat and Bat 2?
Bat? Yeah. Yeah, the French side.
Yes. Well, they wanted 16-channel music on it, so they made a sound card that went in the cartridge port of the Atari ST.
Really?
A very simple thing, no actual logic in it. It was just, I think, resistor arrays, and then to a DAC, and then you got 3.5 millimeter sound out of it. So I was looking at that one there because I don't know why I want it, but I want it.
That sounds very much like the Disney Sound Source or
yes,
the Kovox speech thing.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It is that kind of device. It's not a proper sound card, but it's a clever way of using resistors.
How does this relate to PCBWay, Dave?
It's a shared project with PCBWay.
It's a shared project. And also you can find C64 Donkey Kong game cartridge PCB and Atari 2600 Donkey Kong game cartridge PCB. So there are donkey-related projects at PCBWay.com. How are you spelling that, Dave? PCBWay.com. Thank you for sponsoring us. Thank you. Exodus, Movement for the People, Dave. It's a project we've talked about numerous times on the show, an attempt to catalogue, obtain, and archive every game ever released for MS-DOS. And what a great project it is. Mm-hmm. It's extended beyond just games into magazines, videos, and more, all in this lovely archive. And it's an offline or online if you want to download as you go, but you can just download the entire terabyte plus size file for it. It's an offline archive.org of DOS gaming, if you like. It's a valuable resource for future preservation of all this history, as well as being a hell of a lot of piracy. Let's be honest about it. The man behind it, Exo, has uploaded his first video in 6 months on YouTube to announce a new, albeit similar project named Exo Demo Scene. The idea is the same, to preserve and catalogue every single release on DOS, but instead of games, it's demos. And we're talking about the demo scene, intros, party invites, greets, disses, wavy scrolling text, and banging soundtracks for all you lamers and leet people out there. God, I sounded awful saying that, didn't I? Are you leet, Neil? Are you Hello leet? To all the leet people out there. Demo scene has always been a melting pot of creativity, an underground scene that once discovered can really hook you in, especially in an era of less powerful machines, and even more so machines with quite fixed technical specs. So my own discovery of the demo scene came through public domain discs for my Amiga 500. And later, when I had the luxury of a bargain bin A570 CD-ROM drive, and it really was a bargain bin. This thing was a dodo by the time I bought it. Now, when I got this, I seemed to own every demo released for the Amiga 500 on my selection of public domain archive CDs. And in those days, before I had a dial-up modem, having access to such an archive was just incredible. It's hard to describe how wonderful this was. I spent weeks poring over those CDs, which needed me to navigate a very basic menu so I could see the list of everything on the CD. I think there was a brief description, and it would say how many floppy disks you needed for this particular title. And then you'd put the floppy disks in, and it would write the floppy disks, and then you'd have to boot from those disks. So there was an effort that you had to go through, and it was enough effort to make you commit to watching the whole demo once it was on floppy, even if it wasn't great. You would watch the thing the whole way through. You'd had the anticipation of loading it to see if it was a good one or not, and that in itself was kind of thrilling. What was going to appear on the screen? And when I was younger, I didn't fully appreciate and understand the technical capabilities of the machine. So there was nothing to stop me thinking, what could come out of my speakers next? What could appear on my screen next? This is witchcraft, each and every one of these demos. I loved them.
Although even if you do understand the technical limitations of the machine, you'll still see demos that break it. You'll still see, how did they do that? Things that you don't think are possible being done in a demo, and that's the appeal.
If not broken technically, then seemingly technical limitations broken artistically. They've just found a different approach to showing something, as we continue to see in the modern day with demos that come out year on year at parties like Revision for these systems. Anyway, this was on my A500, and like I said, it was great to see demo teams pushing the stock system, or stock with a RAM expansion trapdoor card, pushing them to the limit. So when it came to switching over from the Amiga to the PC, and the PC's seemingly unlimited expansion capabilities, which was, of course, the attraction of owning one, demos felt a little bit less exciting to me. Some of them reminded me that I didn't own enough RAM to watch the whole thing, or a fancy sound card to get the best out of them. And while I checked from time to time to see what was going on in the scene, it was less of an obsession on PC for me than in my Amiga days. Exo demo scene then might help me to fix that, because now I can browse the history of DOS demos, the entire history of them, with a nice simple interface, and launch them on a modern computer, and they will pop up in DOSBox, and I can see what I was missing out on. Everything is pre-configured to give you the best experience, including things like the Gravis ultrasound emulation, and demos can be organized in categories like year and explored. Now, this is the very first release of this, so not all the demos are in there. There were quite a few that were notable by their absence when I was flicking through, but this will all be fleshed out. It's just the start, and there's plenty of fun to be had. For example, I flicked through just before the show. I watched 1993's Second Reality. I enjoyed one called Contact from 96, which had this weird Noel Gallagher sprite on there. Noel Gallagher in a dress jumping around, but lovely music. Enjoyed that. There was one called 303 from 1997, which just had really cool music as well, and I hadn't seen that one before. So I've only just started exploring them, but there's lots to find. What I'd love for this to have is some kind of jukebox mode where you could just launch it and it would just play random demos, and I could leave it on a screen all day long. That would be quite fun. Dave, is this a good use of Exo's time? What do you make of it?
Is this the third project? I'm not sure. I know there's Exo Win as well as Exodus.
Exo Win?
Yeah, Exo Win 3X.
Oh, I've not seen that one.
Yeah, Windows 90, Windows 3.1, etc. Yes, it is, and I think it underlines that the Exo project is more about preservation and adding value and context and the manuals and all the rest of it and all the things that surround these things than just piracy. I think if you call this just an effort in piracy, that's cynically wrong. And I think this is a great thing. I mean, demos are fantastic. I remember them on my PC. I moved... The Atari ST demos were great, and there was some fantastic mega demos on there towards the end of my time on the Atari ST. But I liked the Cracktros better. I liked the little Cracktro, like what Banjo Guy Ollie did for us. Just the single screen, all that stuff going on. But I remember when I moved to PC, I got to see demos like Second Reality and Heartquake and Saint and Stars and all the rest of the things. And the Sierra Online 1986 Christmas card, which I hope makes it onto Exo demos. Yeah, I love the demos on the PC. But like you said, it's about the limitations for me. So when I watch these demo competitions and there's some modern demos there, I don't feel as if I know what limits they're pushing up against. So I like the kind of 386, 486 demos where you know that they really are. They're trying to get a wasp on your screen that's got loads of different things there. And In fact, if you look at the PC demos from the early 90s, you were seeing what you would see in games a few years later, because they were pushing the boundaries of what they could represent on a screen. This landscape they were zooming through and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Crack Trays and Trainers were slightly different in that they would, you wouldn't actively go out looking for them. They would just be on your pirated discs. And I liked the some of the chip tunes would carry through into the modern day. So if you had a key gen, for example, for a modern piece of software. Don't know what that is. Well, I was a friend's once. I was at a friend's once, and he showed me. He said, "Look, if I run this key gen, it plays a tune." And there were some familiar tunes from back in the early 90s.
Tunes are good.
On there. And sometimes, it's nice to just fire them up to hear those tunes because they just make you nostalgic in themselves. But then when a whole disc is committed to some of the incredible things these demos do, it's wonderful. But Crack Trays are just as fun. I've just started downloading. No, I haven't. My friend has just started downloading ExoWin 3X because apparently that was released in 2015 V1. So that is a mature and evolved project. And I was gaming with Windows 3.1 and 3.11 for workgroups, but it was a rare occurrence because most of the games were in DOS in that era.
But they're forgotten, those games, so there must be some real treats in there.
Some hidden gems in there, yeah.
Hidden gems.
Hidden gems. There you go, that's my next video.
Top 10 hidden gems for.
So Exo, what was this one called? Exo Demo Scene. Also check out Exodus and Exo Win 3X, as I've just discovered. Go and explore this. I'd love the same for the Amiga, I've got to say. I'd love the same if set up with UAE. But then there are some projects out there, aren't there, with that for the Amiga.
I've just found out, Neil, how out of date we are.
Go on.
Exodus, Exo Win 3X, Exo Scum VM, Exo Dream M, Exo RLP, Exo, you'll be pleased to hear this, Exo Apple IIgs. So if there's Exo Apple IIgs, maybe there'll be Exo Amiga Demoscene. There's also Exo Demoscene, we said, and a future project is Exo Win 9X.
Oh, there you go. Everything you could ever need. I'm going to need a bigger hard drive. No, my friend is going to need a bigger hard drive, Dave. I'll advise that he get one.
It's you and it's me, yes. We're no denying it. That's fine.
Let's move on. Check out Exo Demo Scene.
Check out my hard drives. Welcome to our new patron, Peter. Thank you very much for signing up, Peter. Where can people go if they want to become a twirler, if they want to join the growing ranks of the people who kindly support us?
You can go to patreon.com/thisweekinretro, where you will receive our eternal thanks for supporting the show and become an official twirler.
Last week, I made a pitiful tongue-in-cheek attempt to get some sympathy, and you should have all have told me to shut up. But so many of you made some nice comments, actually really kind comments. It did really cheer me up. So thank you very much for those. Even though you shouldn't have done it, it was I shouldn't have done that. A reminder for you that Ollie's demo disc for Twir is on his GitHub, and he's been updating it. It's got wobbles and reflections and all sorts now. It's better than anything on Exo Demo Scene.
You can't say that. Well, it is for the Amiga, so there you go.
It's the only one with us on it.
Yeah,
the two of us on it.
GitHub is perhaps what we should have called the podcast.
We mentioned that a few weeks ago. We mentioned Amiga Belfast is starting up. They had their inaugural meeting on Saturday there, which I'm told was a phenomenal success. 20 or 30 people, all the way there, all the times through the day, people dropping in and out. Everyone said they had a great time. I know that Glenn from CRG, our friend, said that he didn't have a chance to take photos. He was too engrossed in what was going on till the end of the day. So congratulations to the newest Amiga group in the world, Belfast Amiga User Group, BOG.
I heard that they had a special disc that could break the copy protection on any game there.
Uh-huh.
It was a great crack.
Oh, no, Neil. No.
Carry on.
The Angry Badger links us to 8-Bit Guy's Time Rift arcade that he's made. So Time Rift, the name of his arcade. What's up with YouTubers making an arcade, Neil?
Look, I don't like to call myself a trendsetter. Just stop it, Dave. Stop it. Let's move on.
You're an influencer.
It wasn't me, though, was it? It was Alex.
Well, true.
It wasn't me.
True. But you were going to do the secret arcade before Alex came around.
I was, yeah. But I, facilitated, but I didn't drive that project. So, yeah. Tested a Murder links us to a 1985 tour of Big Blue. And Kefka Floyd links us to Ars Technica's article, which tells us that iPod fans are preserving lost click wheel games from the iPod. I do remember how much I liked the click wheel when I first tried it. It just felt really good. But I don't remember playing many games on my iPod. It was all about the music. So preserving these games isn't something I've thought about before, but it makes sense. It's a limited library. I think there's less than 60 games. So let's get it preserved. Exo iPod. Let's get it done.
Anything that you can put a game onto, someone's done it.
Yeah.
Even if it is the new Nintendo clock, which already inevitably has Doom on it.
Don't show a link of that, a clip of that, Duncan, because Nintendo will shut us down.
Just show a clip of a clock. Lord Borak links us to something that's quite important, although I have a feeling that since we're recording on Monday and it's really kind of exploding right now, by Saturday when this is broadcast, it probably won't be that big a deal, but I do need to speak up a bit on it. There is a Super Sega FPGA console allegedly being made, which is allegedly an FPGA device designed to play Master System Mega Drive, or if you're in the USA, it's still the Mega Drive because that's what it's called. SG-3000, SG-1000, Saturn and Dreamcast, and supposedly deposits are being taken. However, there are lots of questions about the credibility of it. I know that our friend Electro and Ash was commenting on the video and comments were being deleted because he was pointing out the problems with it. The demo shown does not appear to be a credible example. The general opinion is that it can't be real, and it's not even a good mock-up of it, that they're trying to fake it. Lots of people are very skeptical about it, and importantly, there's talk, or there was talk, that once you pay your deposit, you're obliged to pay the full amount, and they can take it from you whenever they want, and they have now gone ahead and done that. I know that DJ Slopes, maker of the famous Kick Scammers videos on YouTube, who might be making one on this, has been charged the full amount already for it. And supposedly that was what they said. They said they're going to do a limited batch now, which people will get early in 2025, and that's why they've taken payment. I would suggest don't give them any money. The idea is you give them €3 and that gets you, that puts you on the list. And people are thinking, well, it's only €3. What can I lose? Well, you can lose €450 when they take the full amount from your account.
The interesting thing about this project is just aside from a FPGA Dreamcast core, which I don't think is in the public domain yet. I might be wrong, but I don't think there is one out there yet. Every part of the project exists and can exist.
Yeah.
So this is not some kind of out there crazy thing, but obviously the Dreamcast aspect of it isn't out there, and it can do more than the current popular FPGA systems are out there. So that's what's hooked people in, and that's why it is ideal as a topic for scamming. Some people are thinking they're only looking to get as many €3 as they can, and people won't try and get it back, but now it seems they're looking for more. I can't tell you that it's definitely a scam. I mean, for all I know, Slopes in February will get something through the post that will do exactly what it says. I mean, I can't say he won't, but I wouldn't give them my card details. I wouldn't go on that list. I would not expect this to come to anything. Links in the show notes for all of the briefs that we've discussed. There are lots more on our subreddit. Go and have a look at the subreddit if you want to amuse yourself It's reddit.com/r/thisweekinretro. Do go there to submit any stories that you think that we or our audience may find interesting. Participate in our question of the week and find the latest show pinned there right at the top of the subreddit.
I'm going slightly out on a limb with this story because it's not really a story, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to talk about text adventures. We don't talk about them very much, and I love them. Some of the best games that I've played and some of the first games that I ever played were text adventures. Now, I think that's because they were easy to implement on mainframe computers, which where they originated, Dungeon, etc., and then microcomputers compared to graphics-based games. That's certainly true, but it's not all of the story, and it's definitely not all the story. Text adventures allow us to go to another world. They allow us to see and experience things and feelings that other games don't touch. And of course, I can't not quote the old Infocom advert. We unleash the world's most powerful graphics technology, talking about your brain. And they finished with, it's time to open your mind's eye. And that's what text adventures, the text adventures do things other things can't do. Now, today's submission is from G7VFY, and he's told us that a Facebook game, Dave, where are these words coming from? Facebook group, Adventure, Games, Play and Design, now has over 1,700 members and it's growing. So that might mean that these ancient basic games that so many people sniff at might not be dead. Well, of course they're not. And in fact, the genre might even be better now than it ever was before. It's now been renamed to interactive fiction, something that happened, I think, in the 90s when it rebranded from text adventures to make themselves sound a bit classier. And yes, it is an upgrade in terms of name, but I still prefer text adventure. There are loads of them out there, though, and the genre seems to have separated from retro computing. Interactive fiction has thousands and thousands of them to play. I'm going to recommend another podcast here, Eaten by a Gru, link in the show notes. Eaten by a Gru started years ago going through the Infocom games one by one, and they have this wonderful USP, which is the spoiler fence. And they'll talk about a single game, so it's a Game of the Month podcast. They'll talk about a single game, and they'll reach the spoiler fence about 2/3 of the way into the episode. And you can stop listening at that point. You can feel as if you've listened to a complete episode. Stop listening and not get the game spoiled, so you can then go ahead and play the game and then come back and listen to that bit of it. It's a great podcast. They've moved on. They finished all the Infocom games and they've moved on to more interactive fiction games. They usually pick 2 games a month that have been nominated for an award and play those.
There's so many text adventures out there, good and bad. There's a lot of bad ones out there, but they're not going to run out of content anytime soon for their podcast, are they?
No, and they're only going for award-winning ones.
Okay.
So there are loads and loads of games out there to play. Text adventures never went away. They've been there the whole time. Even when text adventures kind of fell away when games like Sierra and LucasArts started doing there, and people favoured them instead, as if to say, well, if there'd been graphics, I would have gone in graphics the whole time.
Yeah, it was presented as the evolution of the text adventure, and some pushed back on it and created like Windows interfaces for their text adventures. So you could have your inventory window in your... Here's a graphical window. Sometimes, as we move to text adventures with static images. But yeah, it was a losing battle for text adventures at the time. They fell out of favour. But
of course, that happened to point and click adventures too. They went through there.
Yeah.
They fell away. They tried to go 3D. People didn't quite like it. And they're, of course, now back, but not in the same way that text adventures did. Text adventures didn't really go away. They just went non-commercial. And I don't think there's that many commercial text adventures now, other than things in the retro space, like the games that I recently bought from Polyplay. I know the Future Was 8-Bit have a text adventure out on a cartridge for the C64. I just saw that, glanced at it, and I haven't had a chance to look at it properly. But the Facebook group, though, the thing that we're linked, is quite retro in terms of the content that people seem to be talking about in it, talking about older games, which suits me. But it does mention interactive fiction. Interactive fiction is certainly welcome there. Neil, do you see much interest in text adventures or interactive fiction in the cave? And what do you have for visitors to type away at?
So you would think that when you come to the cave, something like Tetris or Puzzle Bobble or something like that would be the most intuitive and accessible game that you could go on, right? So you've got people of all ages visiting us, and it's intimidating because you're either faced with technology that you haven't touched for 30 years, and I've done it myself. I've gone to an expo. God, I remember that. I used to have one of those, sat at the machine and gone, how do I load a game? I can't remember. Or you weren't born when the thing came out. So it is an intimidating experience. And you scan the room and you spot something that you think, okay, that's an easy point of entry. I'll go and make a beeline for that and I'll start there. So that's the mindset. But many times I will go into the PC area of the cave, and it's the Commodore PC-20 that's running Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Is that the amber screen?
It's a monochrome screen, but it's not amber.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just mono. And it's got Zork on it. So it's only got those two Infocom games, and I do keep meaning to put more on there, but it's getting all of the love. Text adventures, I've decided, are the most accessible. And I'm not saying they're the easiest game. You get frustrated with them very quickly, but they are accessible. And if you can read and write, then you can play it. It's not punishing you for bad reaction times like something like Speedball. It's not assuming you're comfortable with something like an N64 joypad, which people that didn't have it just don't know how to hold.
Nobody knows how to hold that yet.
Nobody knows how to hold it. It's just there. It's just waiting for your next move. And even if you're a 12-year-old who's only ever used a tablet, well, tablets have got a virtual keyboard that pops up, and smartphones, virtual keyboard that pops up, so you know where the keys are on the keyboard. There is absolutely no barrier stopping you from interacting with this thing and getting some enjoyment out of it, and getting instant feedback as soon as you press the return key, even if it is, I don't understand. So you try again. So based on what I've seen since putting that out, I do need to put more text adventures out in the cave for people to play on. They do enjoy it. I do think the Commodore PC-20 and its monochrome, very slow to refresh the phosphor screen, really does add to the experience. An amber screen that you just mentioned would be perfect. Maybe even an Amstrad PCW with a green screen.
Well, you see that. I bought a PCW a few years ago. Our friend Pillock picked it up for me. It was local to him. And one of the times I visited the cave, he gave it to me. So he'd had it for like 6 months or something. And my intention for that is to get ZXZVM on it, which is an Infocom interpreter that works in the PCW, meaning I can play not just any Infocom game, but any game made for the Infocom engine on the PCW.
Takes that data file, doesn't it?
I haven't got around to it yet. I need to take it apart. It's a CRT. I need to take it apart and change the belts and the drives. And it's a CRT, so it's a bit scary. So I need to get to that, but only when I've got a huge amount of space to do it. Because I feel that I might take it apart and then have to stop and wait, and I can't have that space taken up. But yeah, I hope to get that for text adventures. But I think the green screen, I think that's the way to do it. Yeah. I think just playing it in a window while you can alt-tab out to other things, I don't know if that's good for it.
Well, here's my idea, Dave, right?
Yeah.
My new exhibit for the cave, it's a library. It's a library of books on shelves, but each book has a pie in it. And I'm going to say an amber screen now that you've said amber.
A mince pie.
There's a complimentary mince pie.
Good.
And then there's a raspberry pie and an amber screen. A little keyboard in the book. So what you do is you take a book off the shelf, you open it up. It's a little screen and a little text adventure ready to go. It's the spine of the book will tell you what text adventure it is. You have a little play, close the book, eat your mince pie, put it back on the shelf where it's recharging. A text adventure library. What do you reckon?
The keyboard is the only slight thing there. I like a nice keyboard for it, but I could live with that. That sounds nice and cozy.
Okay, what about there's a dock where you take your book and you dock it to a
keyboard? Yeah. Like a cartridge. You've invented games on a cartridge. Well done.
Okay, even better.
Nintendo
games are on disc, right? And it's not a book, it's a box. So you take the disc to the PC. Are you still with me here? You put the disc in, and you load the game.
So the box has got a disc inside it.
There's a reason nobody's done this.
Yeah, when I look at the ifdb.org, which is where you can find lots of thousands and thousands of games to play. Well, look there, the type of games that you see there now are not the type of games that we saw when we were young. If you look at the games, Twin Valley Kingdom, The Hobbit, Zork, and all the rest of it.
And also all of the things like the Quill that allowed you to make your own text adventures. We mimicked the ones that we saw.
Yes.
So you had this influx of similar type games.
But interactive fiction now is telling different types of stories than we saw back then. A wider range of stories, lots more stuff going on. Not just the kind of inward looking kind of it has to be swords and trolls and treasure. For me though, text adventures took me into one of the. We never talk about this. One of the routes was an online text adventure, which is a multi-user dungeon. Online text adventures were a thing before you had EverQuest and Ultima Online and World of Warcraft and all the other MMOs. They were essentially just text adventures where you would log in remotely and play with other players, maybe up to 20 players, and then as they went on, more, 200, 400, 1,000 players at once. And they kind of had their peak around the early internet time, before games like Diablo 2 became online, and like EverQuest and so on. And that was when I think of text adventures, I think of MUDs. I couldn't play a MUD now, though. I don't have the time to lose it all to it.
When the dial-up speeds that we had at the time were such that was a good experience to have with it, rather than the graphically intensive games that came later. Yeah,
there was even a joke in one of them. Sleepless Nights, there was an object you'd pick up called the line. You could pick up the line, that was fine. If you dropped the line, though, it disconnected you. Why did that happen?
Could you give the line to someone else?
You could do, yeah. If you want to experience text adventures or interactive fiction, I would suggest you do it. By all means, join the Facebook group, or go to ifdb.org. And download one. They have ratings on them, so people will rate the game, so you can try and find ones that are there. You can search for keywords like short or beginner, something easy to ease your way into. Some of them are absolutely gargantuan, and I don't know that I would want to tackle something that big. But yeah, it's almost a forgotten genre in terms of we never really speak about it in the retro sphere, not so much, but it's still happening. It's still out there. It's very much adjacent to what we do. And in the cave, as Neil says, people gravitate towards it.
Time now for our community question of the week. And last week we were talking about Alan Sugar, apples and pears. Hello, Alan Sugar here. That was another awful impression. Sorry. This is why I get someone else to do the Alan Sugar impressions whenever I need them.
Yeah. You get Alan Sugar to do them. It's a real Alan Sugar.
Exactly. Yes. So we were talking about him creating his Museum of Amstrad products. Buy my book at amstrad.com. And we asked you who should follow Alan Sugar's suit and create their own museum of products, and why. So I'm pleased to say the question of the week this week, here's some stats. It's had 742 views with a 100% upvote rate. Isn't that nice? None of you have downvoted each other on our question of the week, and I would hope so too. Are we out of contest mode, Dave?
We are. We're out of contest mode. It's slam shut.
Okay, so our top answer comes from a Crafty Log 6915.
Is that where you go to play a game in company time?
That's where you answer the question of the week. And he says, Jack Trammell, so much history and a lasting legacy with both Commodore and Atari. Admittedly, he currently is not in an ideal position to do the work himself, but Tungsten Orchid does suggest his son, perhaps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why not? Jack Trammell's legacy certainly should be celebrated. And his life, actually, life itself through, I think he was in a concentration camp at one point, wasn't he? So he's got a really interesting life, which shaped the man, the determination, the business practices and everything that he became. So I'd like to see that too.
Mega Nigel. What name?
Not just Nigel.
Mega Nigel says, a Trip Hawkins museum would be interesting. The history of electronic arts and a bunch of various 3DO systems with the M2 and all the 3DO history. I'd visit that. He came across a little bit Alan Sugar on his interview with you.
Yeah, I mean, he's a salesman, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
First and foremost.
Very interesting. Quite likeable, though. Quite likeable. I quite like him. I quite like the contrast between him and Richard Garriott. They were civil about each other, but they have different ideas of what really happened.
Yeah. I would go to that museum to try the M2, the follow-up to the 3DO, and just see what that was all about. Pajako6502, who has a special badge next to his name saying he is a top 10% poster. He's in the 10%. Well done. Never seen that before. It says Nolan Bushnell. He's got to have some stories and heck, the sheer range of businesses that he started. A museum would be incredible. Yeah.
It's Metronoise says, Shine.
To which Pajako says, the Shane.
And Christ the Wider You says he needs to be a guest host.
Yeah.
Chris, can Shane hold a conversation?
If we invite him and Chris turns up with a wig on, claiming to be the Shane.
Yeah. Mad Cats. So Mad Cats, for people who don't know, Mad Cats make Player 2 controllers. Your friends come round, they get the Mad Cats one. I want another controller for my console. And your parents go, well, get the cheap one. It's Mad Cats. Mad Cats, the museum, this is from Jeff Mendoza. The museum would be broken a lot of the time and the whole building would look just wrong in a way you can't quite explain. Cheap entry, though.
No refunds. Arin says Sony should have an online and a physical museum. Yeah, I mean, Sony, I love their 80s electronics kit that's red. Any red electronics, there's a lot of cool Sony stuff. And their yellow sports range. I like that as well. Tungsten Orchid talks about Ben Dalglish for his amazing 8-bit music, Ollie Frey for his artwork. Any others stand out for you, Dave?
One I thought was a terrible idea. Yamaha. They said not only microchips, computers, audio equipment, and musical instruments, but also motorcycles. Yeah, and a million other things that Yamaha do.
That'd be a hell of a museum. Yeah. Clive Sinclair, John Romero, John Carmack suggested Chuck Peddle, Apple. I mean, give me a Was. I'd sooner go to a Was museum, I think, than a Jobs museum. Or maybe they could have a floor each.
Jobs. Yeah.
You know?
And we can just go to the Was floor.
Well, didn't Jobs supposedly lived in like this very sparse, empty house with just the essentials that he needed? So Was would just be like an explosion of experiments and fun. And then you go upstairs and just find an Apple Lisa in the middle of a room.
The Was floor, and you meet Was and he takes you up to the Jobs floor and explains things to you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wouldn't take long.
I think Was would like to talk about things. I think Was would be a brilliant tour guide.
Yeah. On a Segway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we have a question of the week?
We do. Well, I want some help because I've installed Exo Demo Scene and I'm feeling lazy. So I'm saying let's help each other to explore Exo Demo Scene and find some cool PC demos. Let's go through that experience I did with my Amiga of sifting through the not great ones and then being stunned by the great ones. If you'd care to join me, check out the link in the show notes to get Exo Demo Scene, install it, and share your favorites. And also, if you want to, share some terrible ones as well, and then we can click through them before the next show and enjoy them. What do you think, Dave?
Sierra Online 1986 Christmas card.
Do you want me to see if that's on there?
Yeah, see if it's on there.
Okay, you keep talking and I'll fire that up.
Yeah, my tip, which I don't even know is on there, is Heartquake. That's a brilliant demo, and not so many people mention it. I'm sure it's not a hidden gem, but not so many people mention Heartquake. But yeah, I remember. I don't know where I got my PC demos from. Did they come on demo discs? Did they come on disc when you bought a PC magazine? Was it on the front cover? Or were there copyright stuff with that? I don't know.
You could sometimes find some of them on when we moved into the CD-ROM magazine. Certainly, sometimes you could get some on there. Yeah, right. So I'm searching for Sierra. Am I? I've got it open here. No results were found for Sierra.
So it's incomplete until the Sierra Online 1986 Christmas card is added. And think back to how good PCs weren't in 1986, so you can imagine how bad this is. Awful.
Yeah, it ain't there. It ain't there.
I've been booking guests, by the way. I have got a couple of guests booked. I'm going to book some more.
Got the Shane?
Guests. Haven't booked the Shane, no. We'll need to speak to Chris about the Shane. We've got probably 4 guests before the end of the year. And we've got a 2-week break coming up over Christmas and New Year. We'll have 4 guests before then, including quite a big name who's been in contact with me. But yeah, we've got some guests coming. That's us, though, I think. Is that an episode, Neil? Is that we're going to say?
Well, it's not in the can. Is that what we say? But I just want to give a shout out as well to Woolsey 1703, who's been supplying us with some great jingles. And as we've been talking, has just DM'd me on Discord with another tune for the cave to use in my episodes. I think he's up to about 9 or 10 tunes. We might have to make an album of Woolsey music. He's doing such a great job. So thank you, Woolsey.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being with us this week. We will see you next week. Is it time to wave?
Same bat time.
Same bat place.
Bye-bye.
With a sound card.
He's waving.
I'm waving too. Bye-bye.
Da-la-da-da-da.
This Week in Retro was presented by Neil from RMC The Cave and Dave. It was produced by me, Duncan Styles. The podcast version of the show is available through your favourite podcaster, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and the video version is available on the This Week in Retro YouTube channel.
Join our community subreddit at r/This Week in Retro to suggest and vote on the stories we cover on the show. If you watch This Week in Retro on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe to help us reach new viewers.
If you enjoy our show and would like to support it, then please check out the link to our Patreon page in the show notes or description. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time for more up-to-date news for out-of-date tech.